because I'm like, these contractions hurt so bad, and you mean to tell me that I'm only at a 1 centimeter? I was like, this can't be life. This can't be life. What's up, you guys? It is Jerica. Welcome back to my channel. So I decided that I would do a labor and delivery story because things did not go. I mean, I was going to do a labor and delivery story regardless how things went how I planned or not. I also had planned on vlogging, but that didn't work out, so that kind of sucks. Like, everything, let me just start over. We'll get there. So anyways, my name is Jerica if you are new to my channel, and I have so much to say, like I don't even know where to begin. There's so much. So anyway, let me just start from the beginning. So for those who don't know, I have dealt with infertility for 9 years. And last November I did end up having a miscarriage at 5 weeks and 5 days. I don't know what happened. I can't tell you anything about it because I really don't know what happened. I just know that I was pregnant and then I wasn't, and that was traumatic in itself. And then I know that I ended up getting pregnant again this past March. I found out I was pregnant March 4th, and it was so weird because I hadn't even missed my period yet. Literally, the Holy Spirit told me to go to Walmart and get a pregnancy test. So that's what I did. And in my mind, the whole time that I was on my way to Walmart, I'm like, I don't know why I'm buying this pregnancy test because I'm not pregnant. I haven't even missed my period. I don't have no symptoms. And you know, when you deal with infertility, you buy so many tests. And when they keep coming back negative, you eventually just hate buying tests because you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just setting myself up for disappointment and disgust. But anyway, like I said, I heard the Holy Spirit say, go to Walmart and get a test. And my whole drive there, I was arguing with myself, like, why am I doing this? This is a waste of time. So I went ahead and got the little 88-cent test. And because those tests are very accurate, don't let anybody tell you that they're not. So I went ahead and got the 88-cent test. I took obviously I peed, put the pee on it, and I saw the faintest of lines. And I was like, it's got to be an evap line. Like, there's no way. Because at first I didn't see it, and then when I looked back at it, I saw it, and I'm like, there's no way. So I ended up taking a picture of it and sending it to my sister, and she was like, yeah, I definitely see a line. And then later, as time went on, the line got darker, which they say you shouldn't look at a test after a certain amount of time. But after that certain amount of time is when I could actually see that there was something there. So I'll put pictures in the video as well. So I saw that I was pregnant, and that started this whole journey. So I did trimester updates, so I'll make sure I link all that down in the description bar if you want to know how my trimesters went. I didn't get to do a third trimester update, but third trimester went fine. I didn't really have any complaints besides I was still nauseous here and there. I was experiencing pelvic pain. I was tired, heartburn. I didn't really have heartburn till like the last 2 weeks. But the third trimester was great. Like, I didn't have any swelling, none of the really negative symptoms of pregnancy, which was great in the third trimester. So let's get with the labor and delivery. So basically, anyways, I was sleeping in my bed on Tuesday, November 9th. Yes, Tuesday, November 9th. I was sleeping. The day before I went in, my water broke. I heard a voice say, you need to put gas in your car. And I say I heard a voice, but it's literally the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit speaks to you. So I heard a voice say, you need to go put gas in your car. Because I've been in the house most of this pregnancy because I did not want to catch COVID or any other illnesses. So I've literally been in the house. I haven't gone to any events. Like, if the event was not outside, I was not going. So I had hardly put gas in my car because I literally only left the house to go to doctor's appointments and the chiropractor and to go to the grocery store. And all of that's within 10 miles or less. So it's like, I don't need no gas. So anyway, I heard a voice say, go get gas. So I put gas in my car that Monday. And I'm so glad that I did, because Tuesday I was sleeping, and you know how you have those dreams where you feel like you're on the toilet and you start to pee, and then you realize, wait a minute, like this is a dream, I'm not really on the toilet. So you hold the pee, obviously, because you don't want to pee in your bed. So this is what I thought was happening, except it was a force, a trickle. It didn't come out like it was a trickle. And in my mind, I'm like, this trickle's coming out without me pushing it out, like it's just falling out. So I woke up immediately, before it even hit my sheets. Like I literally leaped out of the bed because I did not want to get my bed wet. And when I stood up is when the trickling became way more of a, like less of a trickle and more of a like flow almost. So I immediately told my husband, I'm like, babe, my water broke. And when I say he also leaped out of the bed and was just, what's the word? He was discombobulated. He was half asleep, and to be woken up to someone saying, oh my God, my water broke. Like you would wake up discombobulated too, because you're in a deep sleep and you just wake up fast and you're just like, what is going on in life? So that's how he was. So I went straight to the bathroom. Water was steady coming out onto the floor. I sat on the toilet. It was steady coming out in the toilet. Like it was coming out. Like at this point, it was coming out so much. So I went ahead and put on a pad, which in my opinion was stupid because it was just going right through the pad. So I went ahead and put on a pad. I called my doula. She told me to make sure that you eat, and because you want to make sure you have your energy and stuff so that when it's time to push, you're not all weak. Because I was doing an unmedicated birth. That was my plan, to do an unmedicated birth. I did not want to get epidural. I wanted to give birth in the birth center with midwives and my doula and my husband and my twin sister. That was the plan. Okay, so I went ahead and ate a few things. I ate a sandwich, a deli sandwich, because that's what I have been craving my whole pregnancy, but I didn't eat it because obviously they say you shouldn't eat deli meat while you're pregnant. So while I was going to labor, I'm like, well, it don't matter now. She's about to come out. So let me go ahead and get me a sandwich. So I ate a sandwich. My husband drove me to the hospital. Like I was really calm because I was having contractions, but they were very minimal and they only felt like period pains. And I had endometriosis and PCOS. So to me, it was just very, very mild endometriosis pains. I mean, if you have endometriosis, you know how painful that can be. So what I was experiencing was nothing, in my opinion. So we was calm on the way to the hospital. There wasn't any rushing or speeding to the hospital, even though my water was breaking and I was still leaking. I was just in my car sitting on a towel. I had my suitcase already in the car, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I did grab an additional few things. Forgot my camera. I had my camera charged, all my extra batteries, my memory cards. I had all that stuff ready to go, and I still left the house without it. I was so mad when I got to the hospital and I realized that I did not have it. So I got to the hospital, went into triage or whatever they call it, where they check you and make sure that your water actually broke, which it did. They make you take your underwear off and they look at your pad to make sure. They were like, you have a little bloody show, if you know what that means. It was a little pinkish, so I know it was a little blood, but not a lot. Anyway, so they checked me in. They said, yes, you're in labor. There's like, how far apart your contractions? I'm like, I really don't know because I've been having this period pain for the past few weeks. It's been off and on and very inconsistent, so I can't even tell you. So they went ahead and admitted me about 10 a.m. My water broke. It was like 10:30. My water broke at 9:45 in the morning. So they admitted me, and I went into my little birthing suite with this queen size bed and the huge jacuzzi tub and the huge bathroom with the nice walk-in shower. And I was just so excited. I'm like, yes, I get to give birth in this room. It's so cozy and comfortable. I had my husband there, my doula was there, my twin sister was there. Obviously I had room service, so I was ordering up food, and in the hospital you get so many options. And the hospital that I gave birth at, they actually have decent food. So anyway, as I was saying, the hospital food was good, so I was happy to get those options. So after I ate, my doula had me doing a bunch of different exercises to get labor going. I was doing squats, I was walking up and down the stairs. She had me doing a bunch of different things. I don't even remember. Excuse me, you guys. I don't even remember exactly what all she had me doing, but that's what I was doing. Let me get that.
Move it around there. Right there. Do it back here now. Good. open it up a little bit so you can breathe. You know the oxygen you get.
Okay, I'm trying to catch my breath. It's like you're trying to have deep breaths while you're out of breath. It's hard.
It is hard.
Did all that. Then the contractions started to get a little bit stronger, so I found myself having to stop and breathe through them, which I was getting through them. Then me and my husband went in the shower, and the shower is like a handheld one, so you could, he put it on my back. Anytime I had a contraction, he would put it on my back, and man, I felt so good. It actually made the contraction easier to get through. So I went ahead and took a shower. We was in that shower for maybe an hour because the water stayed hot forever. It felt good on my back. It felt good to have him in there. So I got through that. But after that shower is when things really started to progress. So the contractions got a lot stronger after the shower. I don't know what it was, but they got a lot stronger after we got out of the shower. So I went ahead and put on the Depends, or like the Always discreet boutique underwear. Because obviously water was still coming out, and it was pointless to even have on a pad, like I said, because it was just pointless. So anyway, then I'm doing my rocking and my hip swaying. My husband's holding my hips like at this certain area to help release the pressure. My doula's doing the same.
Side.
My sister's there taking pictures and video because that's what I had her doing. Hours went by, and I'm thinking, these contractions hurt, but I think I can get through it. I'm doing my breathing and everything, but they were really intense, but I'm getting through it. Mind y'all, my water had broke at 9:45, so at this point I'm in labor, and my water had already broke. So the midwives kept coming in, checking blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. So she's like, let me go ahead and check you, see how many centimeters you are. So she checked me, and when she told me that I was only at 1 centimeter, I literally almost lost it. Okay, I wanted to punch somebody because I'm like, these contractions hurt so bad, and you mean to tell me that I'm only at a 1 centimeter? I was like, this can't be life. This can't be life. I was ready to burn something down because I was in so much pain. And I'm like, well, why are the contractions so strong and I'm not getting anywhere? They were like, well, normally when you go into labor, you have early labor where you're having the contractions and stuff. Usually your water doesn't break until you get to like active labor, and then I forgot what the third stage is called, but anyway, my water broke super early before it was supposed to, so I was basically in labor with no water. And she was like, when you're in labor without any water in your belly, the contractions are way stronger than they should be. So I was having the really strong contractions that you get towards the end at the beginning. So I was, like I said, I was exhausted, I was losing it, but I was like, okay, let me try and get through this. So a few more hours went by, still doing my exercises. At this point, I was doing all sorts of exercises trying to help, progress things. A few hours went by. At this point, my sister had to leave and go home because it's like 11 p.m. So she left and went home. They checked me again, and she was like, you're still at a 1. I was like, at this point, I'm like, grab my gun because I'm finna shoot somebody. Like, what do you mean I'm still at a 1 centimeter? Like, I was about to lose it. Like, because I was in so much pain, and the pain would have been fine had I been progressing. But to know that you're going through all that for no reason, it makes you frustrated. At this point, I had lost all of my hope of having a natural birth. They were telling me, you can take castor oil, you can do this, you can do that. At that point, at like midnight, 1 a.m., when I had started labor at 9:45 that morning, I was like, my body is exhausted. I can't labor anymore like this. Like, I can't. I'm nauseous. I'm in so much pain. I'm exhausted. I need sleep. because I was only on like 4 hours of sleep when my water broke in the first place, because I couldn't sleep that night. And so at that point I just accepted that I was not going to be able to have a unmedicated birth, and I was very, very disappointed in myself. And I remember feeling like a failure. I was about to cry, and my doula and my husband was like, you're not a failure just because your body's not progressing for some reason. And in my mind, I'm thinking maybe I'm not progressing because my body is tired. So maybe if I get an epidural, I can finally get some sleep and be able to progress this labor. That's what I'm thinking. So I accepted that I wasn't going to be able to give birth in the birth center like I wanted, because you can't give birth down there. They don't do medication, which is why I wanted to give birth there. So they wheeled me upstairs to the regular labor and delivery. They told me, like, it's okay. Your midwife and all that will still be with you up there. You just be upstairs. So I accepted defeat. And I say defeat because that's how I felt at the time. Sorry, I need to make sure it's not time to feed my daughter. Anyway, so I accepted defeat. They wheeled me upstairs. And the whole time they're wheeling me upstairs, I'm in excruciating pain. These contractions are coming like a minute apart. So the fact that I wasn't progressing is what was so mind-blowing to me, because the contractions were back to back, and that's why I was so exhausted and in so much pain, because they were coming, and they were not stopping. So when they finally wheeled me into labor and delivery, the room, it was nice and big and cozy, but I was in so much pain. And they're like, we already put the order in for the epidural, so I'm thinking they was going to be up there like, let's get this epidural. But no, I still had to wait like an additional 40 minutes. And I'm in the bed, like my leg is shaking violently because I'm trying to get through these contractions, and I'm like, where the heck is the doctor with the epidural? Because I'm about to lose it. At this point, like I said, all my positive thinking, all that went out the window. Like, at this point, I'm frustrated and I'm in so much pain. I'm like, I need this epidural so I can get some sleep. Like, being in pain and not having any sleep, like, you just turn into somebody else. So at this point, I'm like frustrated, just completely frustrated. It was just me and my husband at that point. My doula had to go home, so that was already like something else, like, because I had planned on already having my baby and having my doula and my sister there at the time, having it filmed, anyway, let me continue. So anyway, they finally come in there with the epidural. At this point, some people are scared of the needle and scared to get the epidural. At this point, I'm like, I welcome it into my life. So I sat up, they helped me sit up straight. My husband helped me sit up straight. They gave me the epidural. It took forever to set in for me for some reason. I don't know why. It took a long time for my legs to go numb. Like, they were starting to go numb, but I still felt stuff. I don't know. I guess I just always thought it would feel differently, but it didn't. So they gave me the epidural. Eventually my legs went numb, but with the way that my daughter was positioned, I was having back labor, and I think that's another reason why I was in so much pain, because her head was not facing the way that she was head down, but she wasn't facing the direction she was supposed to be. So like, the back of her skull was against like my spine and tailbone, so all that labor was in my back. So when I tell you, the epidural did not stop any of that pain, so I was still in pain even with the epidural. It did calm down the pain a lot, because I guess she kept moving. So when she was turned the way that she was supposed to be, I was finally able to get some sleep. But then she would go back, like she would turn her head back. Like, I don't know what was happening, but the back labor was coming and going. So when I didn't have it, I was finally able to rest. But when she would get back in whatever position that was causing the back labor, like, I would be back in excruciating pain. And I'm like, girl, move. So this point, the nurses had me doing all these other exercises. And then, when you go to labor delivery, you can no longer eat. So at this point, I'm not eating anything. I'm just ice, water. They said you can have like clear fluids, like broth and all that kind of stuff. So the next morning came, and I'm drinking my chicken broth, eating ice, and then I start vomiting. So I'm like, oh, this is just great. Not only am I weak, now I can't even, something as simple as like Italian ice or chicken broth, ice cubes, couldn't keep anything down. So that was frustrating, because like I had no energy whatsoever. So I tried to sleep here and there when I could, The nurses kept coming in like every 2 seconds to move me and help me to do these different positions. Like I said, just hours and hours went by of this. And then nighttime came, they checked me. They were like, they put me on Pitocin. I meant to say that, which I never wanted to ever be on. But at this point, I'm like, I need something to progress. So I finally got to a 5 centimeters, but I was stuck at 5 centimeters for like 12 hours. So just the same things just keep happening. I just keep doing exercises, still in pain here and there, like in excruciating pain. Even with the epidural, except now my legs are numb and I can't move on my own. So I need help. I need help to turn over and do all this kind of stuff. Hours and hours of that. They check me again. It's like, you're still at a 5. We're going to up your Pitocin. They upped my Pitocin to 20. Still was at a 5. So we started talking about C-section, and I'm like, I don't want a C-section. I do not want a C-section. I've never wanted a C-section. I know it's traumatic. I know that if it feels anything like how endometriosis surgery felt, I don't want it. So they were like, so we had to develop a plan. So they were like, they never rushed me or forced me to get a C-section. They literally left it up to me. My midwife, her name was Claire, which she was wonderful. My doula was there, and they made me feel good about my decisions. They didn't make me feel any type of way. Like, they were very supportive of whatever I wanted to do. But the fact that my daughter's heart rate kept dropping here and there, like we was listening to her on a monitor, and anytime I heard her heart rate slow down, it just gave me anxiety. So I'm like, you know what? I need her to get out. So if that means I have to get a C-section, I will get a C-section. And I did not want one, y'all. Like, when I say it took everything in me to make the decision to get one. So we made a plan, and we were like, okay, if by 5 a.m. you're still at a 5 after upping your Pitocin to the max, if you're still at a 5 at 5 a.m., we'll go ahead and set you up for a C-section. That's the plan that we came up with together. So the whole night, I'm like praying to the Lord. I'm like, God, if it's in your will, please allow me to progress so that I don't have to have a C-section. Please allow me to progress. And I'm listening to my gospel music, and I'm praying and speaking things into existence is what I was doing. And 5 a.m. came, still at a 5. So at this point, I was very disappointed. I'm like, Lord, like, why are you allowing me to have a C-section? Like, this is not what I want. Like, and I know people say you shouldn't really have a birth plan because things can go the total opposite way. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I didn't really have a plan, like a set in stone plan, but I know for a fact I did not want a C-section. I was okay with if eventually I may need an epidural, but one thing I was adamant about was not getting a C-section. Okay, I never wanted one. So I met the C-section doctor and stuff. They wheeled me into the room. They gave me all this medicine. The C-section doctor, I thought she was cool, but apparently I found out after I woke up later that she really wasn't. She was saying things that she shouldn't have said. She didn't allow my midwife to be there during my C-section like she was supposed to. Anyway, so they rolled me into the room. By this time, like, all the medicine and stuff is setting in, so I'm feeling great. Disappointed, but I was feeling good just because of the medicine. And they wheeled me in the C-section room, and all of a sudden I just start this uncontrollable shivering, and I think that was because of the medicine that they had me on. But I was so nervous, like I was literally about to cry because I'm like, I do not want this. I was just so adamant about not wanting a C-section. So anyway, my husband's with me, of course. They set up everything. I'm sitting there shivering. Like, it's so embarrassing when you're like like my lip was quivering so much you couldn't even control it at that point. Like, I'm like, I look stupid. I had my bonnet on, and I'm like, I look ugly. Like, I wanted to look presentable for birth. I wanted to be somewhat cute. No, like, my bonnet was on. I was looking ugly and crusty. I had been vomiting all day. So at that point I was just weak and exhausted, and now my lips are quivering like a crackhead, and I'm like, oh, this just could not be any more opposite of what I wanted. So anyway, the C-section started. They're like, oh, you won't feel anything, you'll just feel pressure. So I'm thinking, I always thought in life when you got a C-section that you didn't feel anything, that it was just easy breezy. You cut you open, get your baby out, put you back together, and you're good to go. But I know they say you only feel pressure, but I feel like I felt more than that. and it was very uncomfortable. It was very painful. I didn't feel like the sharpness of the knife cutting me, but I did feel way more than pressure. So that was uncomfortable. I was literally on the table like grimacing and whimpering like a dog. Anyway, so when they pulled my daughter out and I heard her cry, they put her above the curtain, I immediately started bawling. And mind you, before they took her out of me, when they cut me open, all of a sudden I got this intense nausea. And I was just like, I knew I was about to throw up. So I told the lady, I'm extremely nauseous. She's like, oh, that's normal. You're gonna be nauseous because of the medicine. I'm like, get me a tray, a bowl, something. I'm about to throw up. She was like, okay. So they gave me those little U-shaped trays, which I don't know why they have those for vomit, because like, what if you had a lot to vomit? It's gonna come out of the tray. Anyways, so I was laying on my back, because you lay on your back obviously when you get a C-section, and I was like vomiting into a tray, like it was so hard to do being on your back. I was scared because I'm about to choke on my own vomit, because I was stuck on my back and I could only turn my neck so far to put it in the tray. So my husband was holding the tray up to my mouth so I could vomit in there. Obviously the stomach muscles were contracting because I was vomiting. I was cut wide open at that point, so it was extremely painful to vomit. I didn't think that I would feel anything, like I said, because I was numb, but I felt everything. I was so much pain. I eventually stopped vomiting, and then that's when they pulled my daughter out, and I saw her little face, and it was just the most, like I said, I immediately started crying the moment I seen her. The moment I heard her little cry, I was like, some people be like, oh, it was all worth it. I don't feel like that. I still was very upset that I had a C-section. I'm glad that she was here, glad that she was healthy. But I ended up having a postpartum, but I ended up having a hemorrhage. There was so much blood. All I know is I took a picture with my husband, which I'll insert in here, and I didn't get to see her get weighed. I didn't get to see her get her little footprint on the paper. I didn't get to do skin to skin. I didn't get to do like the first breastfeeding latch. I didn't get to do any of that, because all I know is I passed out. All I know is like my eyes closed against my will. Like, I could not control it. I was just blacked out, was just knocked out, and I don't remember anything else. All I know is I woke up in recovery in excruciating pain, because they push on your stomach every 5 minutes for an hour. Every 15 minutes they come and push on your stomach. And y'all, if you've ever had a C-section, I don't know if they do this if you have a vaginal birth. Maybe they do, but it's probably not as painful because you obviously weren't just cut open. But man, I told that nurse, I said, how many more times do you have to come in here? And she started laughing. She thought it was funny. I'm serious. Like, how many more times do you have to do this? Because it hurts bad. So she was like, oh, we just got 3 more times. Every time she came in there, every time I seen that lady come in there with that shirt on, I was like, oh my God. And then I looked to my left and I see my daughter there in the little bin that they have them in. And I was just like, I haven't even held her yet. So they were like, you want to hold her? My husband's like, you want to hold her? I'm like, obviously, I want to hold her. I want to see her. And I saw her, I held her, but I was just in so much pain, and I was so weak, and I was so out of it. So it was nothing like what I wanted, like no skin to skin moment. At that point, she was in a towel, swaddled already. So I had missed all of that I wanted. So that was very, very sad about that. But once they finally got me out of recovery, they wheeled me to the room where they would take care of me and all that kind of stuff.
Sister.
So they did that. I spent a week in the hospital, because you stay in the hospital for 4 days when you have a C-section, and then started the breastfeeding. I was like, I want to breastfeed my daughter, obviously, because I felt like that was the best option. I didn't want to put her on formula, at least not right away. So I decided to try breastfeeding, and breastfeeding.
Sister.
Hold on. Anyway, so I'm in the room now that I'm gonna be in, and I was breastfeeding. That was not going well. Nothing is going how I planned. I was in so much pain from the C-section, you guys. Even with the medicine they had me on, it was bearable, but I was in so much pain. And like I said, breastfeeding wasn't going how I was wanting. She wouldn't latch. Well, she latched, but my nipples are flat, though they were. So she couldn't really latch like she wanted. So I ended up having to use a nipple shield, which is fine. I have nothing against the nipple shield. So anyway, so I'm still using a nipple shield to this day. I'm able to latch her here and there though, because my nipples aren't as flat as they used to be. But anyway, like on the third day, or for some reason of being in the hospital, like my incision just felt like it was on fire. And it wasn't the exact like incision spot. It was like the surrounding area around it. It was like a phantom type thing, like the area around the scar. So that was hurting so bad that day. I was in tears. Like breastfeeding was a struggle, and they were telling me my daughter was losing too much weight, and they were like, you know, if you don't start producing soon, you're gonna have to put her on formula. And so I was just having a meltdown, because I'm like, nothing about this birth has gone how I wanted it to go. And I'm at this point, I'm feeling defeated. I'm feeling like a failure. I'm feeling very angry. I'm feeling traumatized. I'm in pain. Like it was just, I felt so many emotions. I'm like, nothing has gone the way that I wanted it to. Absolutely nothing, except the fact that she was healthy. But she was losing weight, and I noticed the little soft spot on the top of her head. Her head was starting to look a little sunken in. So I'm like, I was on Google obviously, and they were like, that's signs of dehydration. By like day 4 or 5 or 4, I finally decided to start supplementing with formula, and I seen how she was thriving once she started having the formula. So I'm like, okay, obviously this is something she needs, and I'm not gonna not give it to her because I don't want to give her formula. Like obviously I'm going to give her the formula because this was best for her at this moment. So I gave it to her. She started gaining weight again. We did end up having to stay in the hospital an additional day for them to just make sure that she was doing good before we came home. But yeah, so that was my labor and delivery experience. The doctors and nurses, besides that one that I was telling y'all about, they were amazing. My midwife was amazing. My doula was amazing. My husband was amazing. Like my sister, everybody that was there for me was amazing. Even though this birth was very traumatic for me and painful, people are already talking about, so you're gonna have a second baby, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get through the first, okay? And I'm 5 weeks postpartum now, and I'm still. The first few weeks were really difficult. Still breastfeeding struggles. I've had clogged ducts. I've had blisters. I've had bleeding nipples. Stabbing needle pain in my nipples. Like it's been a struggle. Okay. I'm just now finally starting to see some type of relief. My daughter finally is back at her birth weight on week 4. It took 4 weeks for her to get back to 7 pounds, 10 ounces. It's been a struggle, you guys. I've been in pain. I've been emotional. I've been crying. I've been like I said, breastfeeding has been a struggle. I've been struggling with making a decision, like, do I want to put her on formula? Do I stick with breastfeeding? Do I just supplement with formula instead of giving up? I feel like things are better now. I'm producing enough, but I'm still trying to decide, like, is breastfeeding something I want to keep doing? Because it's a lot. It's a lot on me mentally. It's a lot physically. But I feel like I want to at least continue it for a little while and then just see. But yeah, it's been a struggle, you guys. That's why there's been no videos, obviously. Healing is priority at this point, but I am doing videos. Content shall resume. Sorry there's no labor and delivery vlog. Nothing went the way that I planned. And I'm still trying to process that. Still processing my emotions. Still trying to get used to the fact that there is a tiny human that needs me 24/7. I'm sleep deprived, which obviously I expected that. So that's not even a huge deal. But she's a happy, healthy baby girl. I love her to death. And I just sit there and stare at her in amazement, because I'm like, we created her. She's a gift from God. She's my rainbow baby. She's my miracle baby. And I'm so happy to have her. We're just getting through this period, trying our best to get through this period. I'm trying my best to get through this period, this postpartum. I think I'm doing okay. The fact that I'm sitting here filming a video at 5 weeks, and I did a little makeup, not a bunch. I did my hair a little bit. So I feel like I'm doing okay. So that's good to hear. Like, I actually want to film. It's just I'm tired, and then as soon as I get ready to do something, it's time to feed her again. So it's like, it's a little difficult. It's an adjustment I'm gonna have to get used to, trying to navigate life with a newborn. Not being able to do things when I want to do them, having to keep stopping to tend to her, which all that's fine, because like I said, she was 9 years in the making, so I have no problem making sacrifices for her. It's just an adjustment. Like, you gotta admit, it's an adjustment. So yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to talk about. I'm sorry this video was so long, but I just wanted to tell y'all about what happened to me. That goes to say, if you're somebody who's pregnant and you've watched this video, don't let what happened to me stop you from being optimistic about your own birth. You very well can have the birth that you desire. Even if it didn't go that way for me, it does not mean that it will happen to you. Because I know when I was pregnant, I was watching all positive birth stories, because I'm like, I would not watch a negative one, because I don't want that in my mind. So I didn't watch any negative ones, and I still had a negative, traumatic, painful birth. My daughter was in me for 45 hours without any water. Yeah, so my daughter was inside of me for 45 hours without water. So it was nothing, like I said, nothing went the way that I wanted it to go, but I'm alive. I survived the hemorrhage. And I'm just grateful to be alive, grateful to be in motherhood right now. Like I said, she's amazing. I love her. Like, I love everything about her. I will let you guys meet her very soon. So I just wanted to get this video out there and let you guys know what's been going on, let you know what happened, all that kind of stuff. So let me know down below what you think. If you have any comments, anything of that nature, make sure you guys comment down below. And if you want to keep up with me in my daily life, don't forget to follow me on my Instagram, which is jerika.sincere. But thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day.